Hi, I'm Pam, and I'm here to talk about video games. Today, I just wanted to chat a bit about Evergreen games. These are the ones that bring you back to playing them time and time again for some reason. For me, 90% I'd say of the games I play are sort of one and done. I play it, I hopefully have a good time with it, and then I finish it or retire it and move on to the next thing. But there are occasional games that keep me playing and keep me coming back to beat them time and time again, or those games that I just end up spending a lot of time with. When it comes to actual hours played, there's one game that has everything beat by a mile, and that, of course, is World of Warcraft. I played this game for 8 or 9 years, all the way from vanilla until Mists of Pandaria, so I think that's 5 or 6 expansions that I played through. I used to raid on multiple characters, multiple servers, I had Horde characters, I had Alliance characters. It got to the point where Warcraft was almost more of a job than a game, as I was raiding consistently. I was a guild leader at the end of my time with it, which is probably part of what soured me on it and made me quit in the first place. But for sure, I don't even want to think about my slash played on that game because it is probably a horrifying number. However, I wouldn't call World of Warcraft an evergreen game because other than a brief foray into WoW Classic when that came out a couple years back, I have never really had any inclination to go back and play it, or really any other MMO ever again. But in terms of time played, Warcraft is number one by a long shot. Now, according to Steam, my most played game is Civilization V at 156 hours. According to Steam tracking, my most played thing is actually my video editing software at over 5,000 hours, but I don't really want to talk about that right now. Civilization is an empire building, turn-based strategy game that I've been playing since back at Civ 2. I've sort of played every game through, and Civ 5 just came at a time where it really hit me and got me wanting to play sort of over and over again. You know, Civ has that perfect just one more turn mentality that it gives you, and I stayed up into the wee hours of the night, many nights, playing through, trying to play as all the different leaders, trying to get all the different types of victory, whether it's cultural or science or military, and I had a lot of fun with Civilization. I assumed that when Civ 6 came around, I would go on to that and it would become one of my most played games, but for some reason, it didn't hit me the same way that Civ 5 did, and after the release of 6, I don't think I've even gone back to the Civilization series at all, so I feel like Civ 5 is probably capped out at 156 hours, so I wouldn't really call that evergreen right now either. Before I actually do get to the evergreen games that I go back to time and time again, here's a quick word from this video's sponsor. Thanks to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this part of the video. This weekend, I really wanted to watch Oldboy, but it wasn't available on any of the streaming services I have access to here in Canada. But with ExpressVPN, I was able to change my location to Hong Kong, where it's streaming on Netflix. Problem solved. In addition to letting me watch geo-restricted content, it also makes it much harder for websites I visit to collect my data and use it for who knows what nefarious purposes. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. Just fire it up and connect to the server location of your choice with one click. It's also the top-rated VPN provider, rated number 1 by CNET, The Verge, TechRadar, and more. It's the only VPN provider you need to protect your data and be able to stream geo-restricted content you wouldn't otherwise have access to. Click the link in the description below to sign up with ExpressVPN and you'll get 3 months free. The game that I most reliably go back to over the past decade is actually 2 games and 2 expansions. XCOM Enemy Unknown, which was the reboot of the series back in 2012, plus its expansion, Enemy Within, and then the new XCOM 2 with its expansion, War of the Chosen, are games that I go back to and play through at least once every year. If I start getting a little tired of one or want to change things up, I just switch versions or expansions and do that for that year's playthrough. I just love XCOM's combination of turn-based strategic combat with the base building. It just has that perfect pull for me where you're sort of combining two different things. Gameplay is consistently changing, so you're not doing any one thing for too long, and I just love the strategy element of it. I like getting to see new and more intimidating alien creatures as the missions go on and being attacked by either UFOs or chosen ones and having to liberate areas that have been invaded and taken over. Every game of XCOM is a little bit different, and it's one of the few games that actually makes me want to explore the higher difficulties. While originally I always start out with just sort of the normal mode, as I play more of it, I get into higher difficulties and start playing around in Iron Man mode, which basically auto-saves after every turn and won't let you save scum. This year's playthrough, I'm doing Legend difficulty for the first time, and it is pretty tough. It's taking a long time to get through. I've gotten a lot of soldiers all named and customized after my friends killed, but I have confidence that I'll be able to do it. The XCOM games are just games that I don't get bored of, and I hope that there's an XCOM 3 for me to add into the rotation soon. I tend to feel a little different about the whole concept of replayability compared to many people. When it comes to what makes a game replayable for me, it's not about multiple endings or multiple paths or getting to play things in a different way. Sometimes I enjoy that, but it's more about just having an experience that's really enjoyable and then wanting to have it again later. So a lot of the games I go back to, they're not necessarily different from time to time. They're just that good that I want to be able to experience them again. Felix the Cat is one of the NES games that I played the most as a kid. It came out very late in the console's lifespan after the Super Nintendo had already released, but I never had a Super Nintendo, so my NES games, especially Felix, and my PC games are what I played. Over the last number of years, since I've had my channel really, which is like 7 or 8 years, I tend to go back to Felix the Cat about once a year just to have a new playthrough. There's something nice about a game that's not overly difficult that I know I can reliably sit down and play through without a game over in less than an hour. The whole game just makes me happy, from the cozy nostalgia feeling it offers to the beautiful color palette and all the cute animals you see and probably defeat during the game. There's also another NES game that I go back to fairly frequently, and it's one that I didn't play for the first time until I was an adult, and that is Gun-Nac. Shoot 'em ups are one of my favorite genres. I love how you can just sort of sit down, play for a few minutes, and then go on to something else. Compile makes some of the best shooters in my opinion, and they all have fantastic music and really good mechanics, and I think Gun-Nac is my favorite of all of them. Gun-Nac's just the perfect blend of serious and silly with strange bosses like giant rabbits or levels that take place in banks where you're being attacked by money. The different weapons and bombs all have their uses, and you can create a lot of different combinations with them. The best thing about Gun-Nac, though, is the difficulty curve. It is so smooth. It starts out very doable, almost on the easier side with the amount of lives and sort of extra ship armor you can get, but then that difficulty just steadily increases as you learn and master the game yourself. I am rarely one to replay a game until I have it memorized, and I actually don't really like the concept of having to memorize a game to beat it, but Gun-Nac is just the perfect game for me to just sit down, play, see how far I can get on one credit, and then put it down until I'm ready to try again. Between XCOM and the next two games, I definitely have a type when it comes to the ones I keep coming back to over and over. Darkest Dungeon is another game that combines turn-based combat with base, or in this case, town building. You've inherited a town and you need to build it back up while recruiting adventurers to delve into various dungeons to fight monsters. It's got a fantastic art style, a great narrator, and it is stressful. Both for your party, who get more and more stressed as you develop various quirks and afflictions, and for the player. You have to be willing to lose people and even abandon missions in order to get ahead. Though this game can be super mean and very challenging, I really appreciate that challenge and trying out different combinations of classes for every dungeon crawl. I've played this a number of times for both PC and console, and actually talking about it right now makes me want to start up a new game because it has been a little while. Kingdom New Lands and Kingdom Two Crowns are also survival and base building games, but these two are a little more chill. You play a ruler on a horse with a big bag of coins. The UI is really simple, and the game kinda leaves you to figure things out on your own. You need to build up a stronghold, equip your subjects, give them ways to feed themselves or fight, explore the island you're on, and then hole up for the night and withstand an attack by the greed. Eventually, you can rebuild a crashed ship and go on to the next island where you'll do everything again, exploring and building things up and fighting every night. These games strike a wonderful balance between relaxing with their beautiful pixel art and nice music and stressful as you gather resources and wonder if the defenses that you've built up are enough to withstand the night. But I could just play these games forever. My favorite thing to do is put on one of them, usually before bed, put an ASMR video on a second screen, and then just while away some hours. Since both of these came out, they've really never been uninstalled from my Xbox. So those are the games I've played and go back to playing the most. Let me know in the comments what your Evergreen games are. Thanks again to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out the link in the description. If you want to see more, check out one of my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.